I'm feeling a little delicate today. A little tender.
What?
It's Friday.
Yes, it's Friday.
And we're happy to be talking to you. Ooh, wait.
Remember Pongo?
Remember our poor Pongo?
We got a picture painted of him.
Our friend Claire Alexander, who painted other pictures for us, he found this picture on our Facebook of the Oopster and painted a very nice picture of him for us.
Yep.
Mr. Oop.
Mr. Oopy.
Oopopotamus Rex. With his little T-Rex arms.
Yes.
What's nice about this picture, I just happened to take it, it was spontaneous. Pongo is sleeping upstairs on the couch, but this is actually Sabrina. That's her calf, and this is basically the crook of her knee.
He's polite.
Yes. Good old Agent Oop. Mm-hmm. The Oopster.
The Oopster. Okay, so I need to have a discussion.
Oh, right.
Okay, so...
I can't look at my phone.
Why? So you don't have to listen to me?
No. It's just I would like multitasking. Anyway, please announce away.
Okay, so I am getting really sick and tired of guys being creeps at me. I really would like people to stop messaging me on various places. I've deleted my Instagram business account. I've made changes to my personal account, and I am extraordinarily frustrated. I feel, in the end, you guys don't know me, and I feel like a lot of people are projecting onto me what they want to believe, and that I can guarantee that's not true. For instance, since I was 11 years old, I've been a pretty hardcore feminist, and I'm sure I just upset a lot of people by saying that, and I don't care. So when you send an email to him that's intended for me, saying something along the lines of, well, yeah, it's not PC to say this, but you're really hot, it's like, that's really going to make me extraordinarily happy.
You know, we've had to have conversations numerous times where we tell people, just think about what you're doing before you click send. Does some stranger that you've never met need to hear how hot you think they are?
No, and if this keeps happening, I'm not doing this anymore, because I don't think that I deserve to be abused by people because, I don't know, they think I am whatever they want to think I am, which I am absolutely 100% not. I could have gone more rage about it, but I thought I would be polite as I could be.
I don't know, none of the guys ever tell me I'm hot. So anyway, it's the usual thing, you know. This is, in a way, even though it's completely unscripted, this is still a performance, and this is not necessarily who we are. This is I guess the best version of who we might be. Mm-hmm. So anyway, just think before you send.
We're normal people, and that's about it. I mean, do you remember when we were on StarTrek.com in the very beginning, there was that kid who was like obsessed with you?
Oh, Micah.
Micah. He was like 16 and obsessed with him. And he was like, this freaking kid is gonna like end up on my doorstep.
I just tried to be nice to him, but he was mentally unstable.
Yeah.
He was not doing well.
Right.
Oh well, what can you do? So anyway, starting out today's Friday segment with a stern warning.
Wow.
Wow, what?
You?
What are you talking about?
With that voice?
I don't know. I just had a sandwich, and so I was trying not to hiccup. Oh, and for those of you out there who have been wondering, and I know a number of you have been, Gallo salami, the regular kind and the light kind has, I think, only like 60% of the calories. It tastes exactly the same.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
I don't think so.
Well, what do you know?
Nothing.
Anyway, be nice, people. Just be nice. It's not hard to be nice. The world is rude enough without adding more rudeness to it. Mm-hmm. Did you forget the questions upstairs?
No, they're under my butt.
Oh. You see, complaining about harassment, now you're talking about your butt.
Shut up.
In fact, we've already mentioned your butt twice today.
Yeah, well, you did it the first time without even asking me.
Sorry. That was actually the last picture I took of Whoopi asleep, too.
It was at the end.
At the very, very end. I don't think he made it another month beyond that.
And I was looking at my Instagram trying to see for Sadie if I had a picture of him with his ears flipped back, and I saw all the pictures at the end, and I'm like, poor dog.
Poor dog.
Old.
He was old. Miss him, there's no only one oop. Well, you know what? Let's do
Wrist check.
wrist check. Well, she always gets to go first, so I'm going to go first. I pulled out my poor man's Hoyer, my Lejour 7000, or is these a 75? What the heck are these things? They have a mark on the back, and I'm not wearing my glasses.
Do you need my help?
Well, what are the numbers in the 7,000 something?
Where am I looking?
On the back, the 7,000 something.
7500.
Oh, there we go. So it's a Lejour 7500. I love this watch. This is great. I should wear it more often. Nice. Okay.
I am wearing this.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. So there, that's where I'm at today.
Okay. In any case, Gallo salami, the light. What?
You're like, you would just say, and that watch was a thing.
That watch is a thing.
What?
I thought I heard the mail.
The mail already came.
It did?
Yes.
Anyway, see? Look.
So if you bought something, it got shipped out.
I didn't. Oh, yeah, well, there you go.
Not you.
Not me. I didn't buy anything.
No. I bought little star stickers to put on the chore charts.
That's good. There was something I needed to order. The hell was it? I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember anything. Scrambled brains.
Your brain is not scrambled. You just have other things that you'd like to think about.
Oh, whether I want to or not. Okay, let's go for it.
Okay.
You're the one with questions.
I know. Spittick 8. We had I Dream of Jeannie in the UK, late 70s. I remember watching it. Bewitched also. Great shows. Phil Silver, Sergeant Bilko, and the whole load of US TV. It was glamorous to us back then. Our regional TV was rubbish. I always watched on Nick at Night in the 90s and then TV Land later. I always watched I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched. I've seen every single episode. I love them. They don't play them anymore. It's very sad.
They only sort of played them here. There was one channel that played a lot of that old stuff in the middle of the day before it kicked into the soap operas and stuff like that. But I saw some of it. McHale's Navy. I loved McHale's Navy.
I did not.
And Hogan's Heroes. I loved them both. When I was a kid and we were still in England, though, talking about the other side of the coin, which you mentioned, I remember we were at some B&B up north of Edinburgh, I think, and they had, I don't know, the usual selection of 3 or 4 BBC channels, and I remember I was the only one awake, and I was watching this really sort of, I don't know, lame variety show that even as a 12-year-old, I was like, wow, this sucks.
What was it?
I don't know, it was some they were playing rock and roll music, but a 70s interpretation of 50s rock and roll music, and it just sucked. Hey, hang on 1 second.
What?
Nothing.
Little men have things to talk about.
It's true. Sebastian wanted to tell us, he wanted to lock the door to make sure bandits didn't get in.
Okay, Christopher Jefferson. Were you humming the Beach Boys' California Girls about a bit over the halfway LMAO?
No, I was actually humming my favorite Beach Boys song, which is Wouldn't It Be Nice?
Well, wouldn't it?
It would. Every time. I just love the sort of the hope and the optimism. And also, you have the along with the greatest music, especially Brian Wilson stuff, there's this thread of melancholy that runs through it. And it's just, I don't know, it's just that particular song is just, I just love.
Okay.
That's it.
John Boy of Alaska, thanks for the look into a Bell-matic. Oh, and you don't have to apologize for the noises of a living household in the background. That's good.
Thank you.
I'm sitting here listening to you in headphones, pegging out the jewel holes on an ETA 900 while kids are running in and out, playing and wrestling, and dishes are clanking in the kitchen. Huh, well, that's good.
Okay, cool.
Dan Lazar, another awesome rebuild. I was wondering, since this is your main gig for hopefully many years, do you ever worry about your hands losing such fine motor skills? From what I can see, you're rock steady. I'm about your same age and very much enjoy fine motor skill tinkering, but worry about losing that touch. Perhaps, though, by doing this stuff daily, the muscles stay toned. Anyhow, keep up the great work.
Yeah, I do worry about it.
Arthritis runs in his family.
Arthritis runs in my family, like, badly. Also, and it doesn't help that, like, seriously, like, my mother looks like she's wearing a hand-colored glove full of walnuts. It's
yeah,
really...
I've never seen arthritis as bad in anybody as her.
And her father, my grandfather, had terrible arthritis. And unfortunately, when I was a kid, when I was about Sebastian's age, due to a family mishap on a road trip, my hand got shut in the car door of a 1960 Ford station wagon, and these fingers were smashed. And because my mother doesn't believe in medical care for anyone, no joke.
Not for like religious reasons or anything.
She just doesn't believe that anybody's ever injured. We never went to the doctor. These were never set properly, and they're all crooked as a result. So I live in fear of what the future brings.
Well, all we can do is live in the present.
I never get sick. Really?
Really? Okay. I got the flu one time in school and I've never been sick since.
We laugh, but her attitude is very serious, and it has had some serious... Like, I blew my ACL in high school, and she didn't believe me for like 3 weeks. She literally didn't believe me. Wouldn't take me to the doctor. She got me a pair of crutches from the thrift store, and then when it was apparent after weeks that I wasn't faking and I could not walk with my right leg, she took me to the doctor, who drained all this fluid out of my knee and said, well, we could have fixed it if you'd gotten him in here right away. And now...
Well, let's not complain about your mother right now.
I try never to complain about my mother.
No, I know.
I try never to think about it.
I know, but once you get started, it's...
Yeah, it's true. They don't want to hear that. All right, rock on.
Joseph Stewart, I like that you're getting even more interested in the lesser-known Seiko quartz movements from the 80s. Mm-hmm. Last year, I found a Seiko 69237099 from June 1985, month and year of my birth, with a gorgeous blue dial with an SQ stamp and a disco ball crystal and an original bracelet. Is that what it's actually called, or did I make that up?
Disco ball?
Yeah, I called it that like the first time you ever
shoved it. I don't know. I
in.
never thought about it. You're the one who called it. I never thought of it that way.
Hey, I might have named something. The movement in this watch, though probably one of the lower-end Seiko quartz movements, is awesome. The seconds hand hits every marker dead on. Not bad for a $35 impulse buy. The hunt continues for a 7548, the next watch in my sights.
A couple things. I have a 75487 7000 here from October 1982 that is... It's not immaculate by any means. It certainly was worn, but it's overall actually quite nice. It's beautiful lume. It's got a nice insert. So if you're looking for a 7548, I might have one for you. The other thing was talking about quartz stuff. I pulled out a couple of 70s grand quartz models with 9000 series movements, and I was looking at them. They're twin quartz, and I was like, okay. Well, the way the twin quartz works is you have one regular quartz giving time, and the other one is for temperature adjustment. It's an automatic temperature adjustment. But beyond that, they're only 5 joules. I have another Seiko that I pulled out that's a Seiko 7813, and it's not Grand Seiko. It's not Grand Seiko pricing or even collectability like at all. It's sort of a very thin quartz dress watch. 7 joules. It's really something with a trimmer. It's a heck of a piece, and no one talks about them. No one thinks about them at all. And
Maybe they will now.
Maybe they will. I'm just waiting on a crystal gasket for it, because it's the one with the nylon crystal gasket. The rest of it is well, here, I'll show it to you. What?
Nothing. They're just stuck looking at me.
I think I got this for $16.
Oh, one of those.
Yeah. So this, I don't know if you can see it.
I like how thin they are.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a really tight movement, but it's beautifully made. Again, 7 jewels, all metal with a trimmer. And that's the original bracelet and everything. I think I paid $16 for it. Lord only knows how much these were when they were new. But yeah, very thin watch, extremely accurate. They're great quality, amazing quality. You know, you can pay a lot of money for a 9F and a new Grand Seiko quartz baby, or spend some lunch money and get that.
Or get both.
Or get both. Well, yeah, I guess.
Garrett Jansen. Speaking of thoughts, there is an odd lack of research and content on the 6138 8000 baby pandas. Have you handled them before? Thoughts?
I've handled them a couple times. They are internally they're the same as any other 6138. They are, I guess the biggest thing about them is they were Japan only, obviously. I don't think they were made in great amounts. The big deal about them, people didn't think about them because they're so much smaller. I mean, the regular pandas are a solid 41 millimeters, something like that. Baby pandas are under that, and they also have a tighter, a smaller dial, tighter crystal, that kind of thing. They're cool. I don't really understand the pricing on them because they're so expensive and people spend so much money on them. I mean, I get that they're rare. It's interesting to me. I mean, you can get if you want a small 6138, you can get a John Player Special, and they're still like $600 or $700 or $800. But baby pandas, they're going for like higher end Omega money now. God, and there was another one. One particular Seiko 7015 with like a silver metal ring around it. Apparently they're quite rare. I just found out about this, and extremely collectible. Somebody that I know just paid $1,500 for one, unrestored. I actually restored one before, but I didn't think much about it. Seiko price is weird.
On to the next one?
But,
What? People are allowed to Are you seriously looking out the window with your binoculars? People are allowed to go for a walk. Wait, is that where you...
hey, somebody tagged that fence over there. There's a smiley face on it. Okay. Go on.
Tom N. Cheers, Sabrina and Spencer. Christmas is a great time to make that trip to Cuba that you've mentioned. I know that Obama working with the Pope opened up Cuba to us, but I think Trump closed that option.
Right. Well, as he said, like last month, he said Obama can't be a great president because we've undone almost everything that he did. But assuming the world becomes slightly less insane in November, or actually in January of the new coming year, I'm sure that Cuba will be opened up again and it will be fine.
Okay, well, I voted to go. I want to see the cars.
Yeah, the weirdest thing about Cuba, some friends of mine, long life friends of mine, the Rutsteins, they went to Cuba with their 2 daughters who were my age. And the weird thing was that the terrible troubles with internet.
Okay.
Well, it's just like you can't do what you're used to doing, with your phone all the time. It doesn't work. So you have to actually put your phone down and look at things.
Like old cars. I think that if you're a watch lover and you can afford a watch, then buy it and wear it, period. If you're an investor, then buy that Rolex and stash it away. It's only money in the end.
Yeah, it's true. For me, new watches, I'm always on the fence about wearing them. So it makes it sort of prohibitive for me to buy new watches. They just seem like kind of blank slates to me, brand new watches too. So they're not personally as compelling as something with some, real history on it. I can go down to the sporting goods store and I can buy a set of binoculars to look at stuff, or I could have these. Are these 7x10? Are these 10x? No, they're 7x50s made by Leica lights, and I think these were $54. Beautiful piece of history, lovely optics. I just like things with character.
I guess I think of it as it's so easy to have money and then not have money that wouldn't it be better to have the thing to sell in case things go funky? That's the way I think of it.
Yeah. Got it.
So that's the difference between you and me.
I guess so. I've got all this crap.
I know.
You just find the nearest ditch and take all this stuff and just pile it on top of me, set the whole thing on fire.
While you're alive?
Well, I wouldn't be alive for long. Ooh, look at that. Look at that huge bumblebee in the carrots.
Are you going to spy on it again?
I would. I actually did use these to look at my bees. Okay.
4:44 p.m. Spencer, I recently got the JDM SPDC 109 or the SPB 151 Willard reissue, and my insert was completely off center by one click. God, that would drive me crazy.
What?
I ended up having to remove the bezel and insert and reset it so it was perfectly centered. Wish Seiko's QC was a little more strict than it currently is. That's terrible.
I don't understand it. This stuff, I just don't understand it. Why Seiko has decided for seemingly a long while now, many years, to not be hardcore about these final checks. In the old days, I mean, vintage Seiko, 60s and 70s Seiko, hell, even 80s Seiko, I've never seen, I can't remember, well, I can't say I've never seen. I do not ever remember finding anything like that in any of the vintage watches that came through. It's just not something I saw, but I see it pretty often with modern stuff. I don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, but they're doing it.
Brett M. I've got the 63006 7000 on my wrist. Where's that on the Grail cycle?
63006 7000. People don't talk about it or think about those too much. They're not much different. Now, if you had the really early one with the small crown, those are spendy. Those are special. I don't know. I love the 6306s. I think they're great. I just think people think about them less because a lot more people are thinking about the 6309 watches now, and they go off of what they are hearing in the communities and people talking about 6309s. They don't really talk about the 6306s.
Yeah, but we've seen in the past people not talking about certain watches and then people being like, oh my god, this thing. Or people talking about, like, I think you said it was the rally divers or the sport divers.
Yeah, the rally divers.
And they were, when you were first starting, people talked about them a lot, and now nobody ever talks about them. Nobody buys the crystals for them, like, ever.
No, they don't. And it's weird. Rally divers used to be so hot, and they just went, and that was, people still talk about them every now and then. I don't think I've gotten a servicing inquiry on one. Well, I don't remember the last time I got a servicing inquiry. It's been quite some time. A long time. I don't know why, but that's what it is. People are thinking about the 6105s and 6309s now. And 6138 Pandas. They're not really talking about John Player specials so much anymore. It used to be they were talking about 6138 Jumbos a lot. That has kind of stopped. A lot of talk now about 7548s. I did my best to really push the 7As, but they sort of, except for a couple models, most people aren't really thinking about them. I don't know, it's funky.
What?
Upopotamus rex.
Upopotamus rex. Something interesting about the crystals that I just remembered. So when we first started, like 7 years ago or whatever, and we first got the crystals, Jonathan had a Bubble Boys made. Mm-hmm. And for people that don't know what that is, they're super duper duper domed.
Right, so it was a Hardlex crystal that mimicked the look of the old 60s style skin diver acrylic crystal, so really high dome.
Mm-hmm. And we bought one order of 50 of them when we first started. I have had 2 left for like 5 years. Nobody buys them.
Nobody buys them because I think part of it too is that people don't really mod those watches. They'll go in any of the 6,000 cases with a 32 millimeter thing. I mean, you can even put them in a first gen 7002. They'll go in. They look funky, but they will go in. Yeah, nobody talks about them anymore.
Nobody buys them. Well, I still have 2. Just Watches. Thank you for the review that doubled as a history lesson. I am an amateur and regulated one of my NH35s. Not sure what letter type it is. Was that a bad idea? You mentioned even you don't like to regulate them. The results have been good so far. Also, what do you not like about anti-reflective coating?
Anti-reflective coating typically has this kind of purplish blue sheen, which I feel just sort of interferes with the look of the dial. The only exception I can think of for that is that my glycine has AR coating, and actually that looks pretty nice, but I don't really dig it. As for adjusting the C/D type balances, I mean, I've talked about this before. Why don't we break and I'll show you those things rather than me going like this, and I'll show you the two different kinds of balances just for fun. Okay. Okay. So talking about what I think of as A-type balances, which is just the standard balance, and then the later C-type balance. Okay, so darn it, hang on a second. This is crap. This right here is a standard 7000 series. This is a 7006, but that really, it makes no difference. What these are, I'm trying to see this in a way. Okay, so the way a normal, typical balance will work is just like this. You have your hairspring, and it's mounted here on a stud. This stud is permanently fixed to the end of the hairspring. It's how it works. And the nice thing about a stud, so this arm, you move back and forth, and that changes the beat error. It rotates the entire balance so that the roller jewel is in the right place with the pallet fork. But they take a little bit more stuff to manufacture perhaps, but the nice thing is they're absolutely steady. It's got a little divot in there, you'll see, and that helps lock it in place with the screw here. And you're not going to have any positional stuff. It's not going to be twisting. The stud isn't going to turn or twist or have yaw or pitch or any of that other kind of stuff. It's going to stay exactly how it was made. Hang on just one second. Willow, what are you getting? Are you getting tape?
No, I'm going to staple the rest of the chapter 1 together.
Okay, so going back to this, so you have the understanding. This is a classic style balance used by basically everyone on the planet. Seiko, thinking about the C-type balance, for some reason, despite having used this type of stud and adjustment system since the inception of their business, instead decided to move to this. So now, there again is your hairspring. Now, if you'll notice something, see the width of the hairspring lines here? See how far they are apart? Okay? And then if you look over here, you'll notice they're really tight. The hairspring is out of adjustment. It's not where it's supposed to be. Those curves are supposed to be equal. Now, instead of having a nice solid stud that's inserted into a hole and held in place with a screw, you instead have this little brass thingy here, which is attached to the hairspring, but it's only held in place with these by being forced in here. And so there are advantages. So this means that you have a little easier time if you want to adjust the hairspring. Now this movement I'm not worried about, but so if I wanted to, I could turn that slightly, and it would change where the hairspring is. It'll change the position of the curves and stuff, okay? And you can change how this goes, and you can correct things. But you can also go in and out. You can yaw and pitch. You can turn it this way. You have all of a sudden all these different variables that come into play that weren't there before. The old school way to deal with this, if these things were not the way they should have been, is you just very carefully, you adjust the hairspring itself. That's the old school way to do it. I guess people don't want to do that, so they have instead gone to this thing where I can turn and twist, but one can cause so many problems by doing that. You have to know what you're doing. And also, a lot of times when you have people, and they're like, oh, I want to just adjust the accuracy and make it a little bit more accurate, they hit something, because not only can you adjust and change this thing, you can adjust and change this. Instead of being, like on this one, the hairspring just goes through this little keeper diddly right here, which is like this, fixed. It is absolutely fixed. You can't do a thing to it. Whereas this is not fixed. It's another twin holder, and you can turn this thing and mess with it and do anything you want. Now, in theory, you wouldn't ever want to adjust this at all. You just leave it where it is, and you do all your adjusting, all your in and out and twisting and stuff with this. But you have all these variables, and one slip, and all of a sudden everything changes. And then, I mean, I for fun was fooling around with on one of these, I don't know, a couple 4 weekends ago, and the amount of changes that you can introduce to how a movement runs in terms of amplitude and accuracy is astonishing. Like a tiny little move of this, and I was able to take a watch that was running with amplitudes in the 140s, and it jumped to the 260s. No joke, just by tweaking these a little bit and trying to get them where they need to be. It's wild. Anyway, so that's the thing. And so it's not so much that I don't like adjusting them, it's that there is a much greater chance for variability.
G. Rodot, if you do a proper recreation of the 6159 7001, I'm sure many people will be all over it, myself included. The original ones are so expensive and the reissues are not convincing and expensive as well. One of Seiko's most compelling designs in my opinion. Please do it.
And I'd love to. In fact, I was supposed to call Steve Laughlin of Raven Watches last week and talk to him, and I never did because I hate getting on the phone. And there's always other things to do. I hate being on the telephone.
We've had a busy week.
Oh, you have no idea. The craziness that's going on. But yes, I absolutely agree. Decent price point, perfect replication of that case, lovely dial with the right elements. I'd sure be a magnificent seller. So I need to talk to Steve. Oh, and by the way, we're all amateurs. Everybody.
What about master watchsmiths in Switzerland?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Do they still have things they can learn?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think ideally is you never want to assume that you know everything. I mean, you can pass your master tests and that kind of stuff, and sure, why not? But we're always learning.
Like learning how to teach Chris Hemsworth how to pose next to an open watch. It was a while ago. He loves watches, and he does some kind of, I don't remember what brand it was, and there was a picture on his Instagram ages ago of him looking at an opened watch in this like fancy Swiss plate. Yeah.
Huh. Well, Mr. Hemsworth, if you're watching,
I love you.
and we can always talk about watches if you're ever bored. In fact, you and Mr. Downey could both come over, and we could talk about watches. God, can you imagine Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth sitting there with Willow and Sebastian
and
climbing?
And then Sadie would walk in and be like, oh,
and then all the cats would come in. It would be
Sadie
awesome.
Would die.
Would she? Oh, well, you see, I could do that thing to her that I'm forbidden to do again with Justin. If she's asleep, I could just usher Mr. Hemsworth into her room to wake her up. Can you imagine her turning over in her giant nest of a bed, and there's Chris Hemsworth? And she would say, clearly I've died, but am I in heaven or am I in hell? I just like messing with her.
She hates it.
But I'll do it with love.
She hates it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
D-Mates22. Thank you about the Willard X. The crown not at 4 o'clock and the red traffic light not being pink-orange is why I can't even look at it. Besides the size of it not being right. Sad that the San Martin 6105 to me looks more correct, but the SLA 033 is a beautiful watch. Oh, and definitely the LX over the Sea Dweller. I love my SNR 029 with the 5R65 spring drive, absolutely my favorite Seiko diver, and the Sea Dweller is just a monster submariner, which I got over the second I put one on. Omega Seamaster 1000s, now that's a different story when you're going big.
Oh, yeah, I've never actually seen a Sea Dweller in the flesh. Sea Dweller is like a deep version of the Rolex Submariner, but it's just bigger. And it doesn't have a magnifying crystal on it. Other than that, it's on steroids. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, one thing I have been looking at, talking about 6105 reissues, I've actually been looking at the Smith's 6105 Willard reissue. My only gripe about it is that it's slightly smaller, I think, but overall it looks pretty good. And they have a sword type handset that I like. So, and I think they're back in stock and they're not terribly expensive, and they come with a bracelet that looks pretty good. So I don't know. I've been thinking about that Smith's. Now is not the time for me to buy any new watches, but I'm thinking about that Smith's. Because also the MG has Smith styles. All the gauges in the MG are made by Smiths.
Okay. Ryan Walters.
Hello, Mr. Walters.
I completely disagree with the guy's comment regarding Grand Seiko and their quartz pieces. Grand Seiko 9F movements have more watchmakers touching them than 95% of the autos currently made. The finishing is outstanding, and I wouldn't sell mine for anything.
I've been looking at them. They're cool. It looks just like a Grand Seiko, except it's got this 9F quartz movement in it, which is high end. It's basically it's one of these diddlies. It's a very, very, very small, tight movement, heavily jeweled, that kind of stuff. I've thought about it, and they're also substantially cheaper, but like we need to spend thousands of dollars on a quartz dive watch. So I'm not doing that.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Are you done?
As done as I'll ever be.
Oh, I can't tell sometimes.
You hand?
No, sometimes you pause and I'm like, time to read, and then you're like, oh.
What's the date?
Oh wait, I think it's the 4th.
Is it the 4th?
I think so.
Oh yeah, it is the 4th. This has the date on it.
This one doesn't. Which is stupid because it's digital. Chill Will 120. I love the look of these 62 MAS reissues, but I won't be spending $1,000 on one with that 6R movement. Seiko really needs a movement that can compete with the 2824 if they want to charge over $1,000.
Well, here's the thing. 6R movements, 4R and 6R movements are actually pretty good. Their technology is great, and I have proven to myself that when they've been freshly, fully serviced and made sure that everything was right and clean with the right lubrications, they're decent. But they're inconsistent, and Seiko keeps sending them out with they are consistent. They're consistently sent out in poor adjustment with beat error, which is not anything that I understand why they do that. I mean, we bought that Orient for you for $100, and the numbers were perfect. They were perfect. And if I buy, like my glycine has an ETA, and it came in and it was rock solid. It was a single line with amplitudes in the 290s. It was perfect. And I can almost guarantee that I get a new Seiko, and we're going to see numbers like what I saw in my review, that it's gaining time, and it's got almost a full... It's almost got a full thing of beat error. I don't know why they do it. There's some choice that they are making. There's something that they're doing
to crank them out quickly,
to bust them out. And they looked at it and they're like, it's not remunerative. It's not interesting. It's not necessary for us to make sure these things are running nicely.
I just remembered you looking out the window with your binoculars.
Binoculars are good for a reason. They make things that are farther away look more close.
Wow, I had no idea.
Which for somebody, besides, that young lady with the coral purse might walk by, and then I'd be able to check her out if I had my binoculars.
You check out her purse?
Well, I guess so, maybe, because you like purses.
I do, I really do. But I don't buy them because I would have too many. And I don't go anywhere to need them. Aaron Petterini. Well, I thought I was not going to buy another watch this year, but I might just have to have one of these, whatever these is. You're never ready.
That's my life.
You're supposed to have everything here, and you just go poof.
He is talking about the 6139 8020 8020 or 8029, and I call them racing. I know everybody's sick of nicknames, and nicknames are everywhere, but it's how I think of them. The 6139 racing on this super cool bracelet. They're really something. Okay.
Sam D. Love my 6139 8020 racing. It's a unique watch and fun to wear. The bracelet is a must, though, for one of these, just not the same without it.
Yeah, it's because if you have just the watch, it's the watch head itself. It's really kind of, not boring, but it's...
Oh, it doesn't have the holes.
No, this.
I hate the holes in the bracelets because I'm like, okay, you're out doing stuff, like having a picnic with your family, and it's really sunny, and then you're going to get the stupidest suntan ever.
I actually prefer the holes, but...
Well, then you can have the stupidest suntan ever.
Well, there's two versions of this watch. This is the standard one with holes through, and I like the holes because it looks more like a steering wheel, but this version of the bracelet is much more delicate. It's only held together with like these two teeny little tabs between each thing. And so these bracelets, they tend to die. And they're hard to find. And these watches really, without the bracelet, they're not their thing. This is the Aussie version of this with the Stellux bracelet. And these internally are built like tanks. They're built like regular bracelets with full connection on the back, and they're great. These bracelets are stupidly rare. Stupidly rare.
What, the Aussie ones?
Yeah.
I've never seen one before just now. I prefer them.
You prefer the Aussie?
Mm-hmm. Because they think about getting sunburns.
You know, that's true. Maybe that's why they did that.
Maybe. Jim Canatero. I can't figure out why I'm bored with these new 62 MAS reissues. Maybe I'm just over reissues. I can buy that.
I don't know. They seem... I don't know. Hard to say. New watches always tend to always leave me a little cold.
Really?
They don't have any character. They don't have any earned character. Something brand new.
You like the 62 MAS reissue?
Yeah, I liked it, but I wore it for about 5 minutes. That was it.
I like it.
Okay. Good. I'm glad.
Okay. Am I carrying on?
Yeah, why not?
Sunset. Hello, Spencer and Sabrina. On the topic of SKX type quartz watches, about 10 years ago, Seiko produced an HAQ high accuracy quartz diver with 39mm case closely resembling the SKX013. The model was the SBCM023. It had an accuracy of under 10 seconds a year with a perpetual calendar. Today, Seiko is using the infamous V157, V158 solar movements for their entry-level quartz divers. Would Seiko be able to install this movement into the SKX case, taking into consideration that the crown is at 3 o'clock and not 3:45? It may not be an HAQ, but it would have a great movement that would be affordable for the consumer. As always, keep up the great content.
I don't know. You'd have to ask Seiko.
I'm sure they'll answer.
The sad thing is, I do love those SBMC013s, right?
023.
023s. They're super cool. Seiko Perpetual Calendar. They're 39mm. They look like an SKX, slightly smaller. They're super cool. I have 2 of the movements sitting over there in my parts. Like new ones, but I don't have one of those watches. They're cool. But boy, programming the Perpetual Calendar, such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I remember you complaining about that.
And that was years ago. I must have really been complaining for you to remember.
Alexei Barkovsky. Hi, Spencer. What do you think about refinishing practices some people use at home, like Cape Cod towels? Washing pads to restore satin and other miscellaneous stuff used for nail polishing. Is it totally a bad idea?
Anything is a bad idea if it's not done well or with skill. I've heard about Cape Cod towels. I've never seen one. I don't know what they are. I don't know.
They didn't have them on the Cape?
I've never seen one. There's some kind of metal polishing thing, and that's like a cloth, and I think it comes in. It's like impregnated with some kind of.
And it comes in a clamshell?
It might. It actually, it literally very well could. The packaging might literally. I think it might actually have
Really?
some kind of clam iconography on it.
I'll have to look it up later.
I've never used one. As for brushing things with the Scotch-Brite pad, the green pads, they're super scratchy, and they have some kind of, again, some kind of mineral scratchiness, and people use it to restore the brushing. I can always tell when it's been done because it looks wrong and blurry because it's not machining, it's not perfectly flat and consistent. You can see where it's sort of, it hits more on the curves and the edges and stuff, and it's not right. I never use that stuff. I use Brasso, which is really good for taking off haze. I sometimes will use Flitz metal polish, which was recommended to me, and I now love it because it's extremely gentle and minor, and it just takes the haze off. So it's not refinishing. You're taking away sort of a little bit of the the static, the white noise on the surface of a case. But as for real refinishing, unless I could do it to the point that it would be done to a level that I could wear without it annoying me, I'm not going to do it at all. If I can't do something really right, then
You'd be so mad if you got it wrong.
yeah, it ruins the case.
Yeah.
If I cannot say this thing I can do and I know I can make it look as it should, I won't do it.
Randy Allen, vibration is the devil's crescent wrench, priceless. He must have ridden motorbikes in the day. Okay. Interesting that you can get great numbers on the machine and it's still not right. Bonus points for you, to you for doing it right. Neil Sedeka is okay, but no Fabian. Good filming.
Fabian?
Whatever. A Fabio. Do you remember?
I remember the car.
No, in the 90s, Fabio was in a roller coaster and a bird hit him in the nose.
Oh yeah, that's right, and he ripped his nose open. Nobody thinks about Fabio anymore.
My mom watched the Today Show all the time, and he was always talked about on it in the 90s.
I don't know, ladies, they have thoughts and feelings. Wait, what was the other thing?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, vibration is the devil's crescent wrench. I mostly think of it because of my time on Vespas, because they're two-strokes and they shake like bastards. Two-stroke single cylinders, and everything comes loose. It's wild.
Ayo Boothyanamaga. Hi Spencer, I have one just like that, but with black dial 27 joule 4006-7020
Talking about a Bell-matic.
from 69. How many joules is actually functional? The alarm button on my belt goes out if I use force on it. Is it an easy fix, or do I need to take the watch apart?
First question, it has 6 joules underneath the date wheel that are functional for the idea that they're basically helping the date wheel to turn, but really it's 21 joules. But the difference between a 21 joule Bell-matic and say a 21 joule 7S watch is that the Bell-matic has, mainspring arbor joules, and the train is fully jouled, and it's pretty awesome. And the other thing, okay, so your alarm button comes out. That's what I think I'm understanding. It is kept inside. The alarm button is kept inside. There's a little sort of a lever thing. It looks from the side like a T. It's like a shaft with a little flat thing on top of it. And it is tucked. It sits in the movement. It's loose. It's not bolted in place. It's kept in place by the train bridge. So something is wrong with yours. They have a little lip on them going to the outside of the watch that catches on that pull button. And if that lip is gone or worn, then it's going to pull right out. To get to that, you've got to go inside. You've got to pull the whole back off the movement, winding, and then you have to pull the train bridge to get to that thing. And it's dicey. I mean, you can do it if you want to do it. I can see how to do it in my head, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. It depends on your level of skill and confidence.
Randy Allen, very cool. Thanks for the detailed video. I'm curious what overbanking looks like on the time grapher, or is it visible?
Yeah, I answered you in the comments, but I thought it was fun to talk about. When you're watching, overbanking is when a watch or a clock or whatever has too much power. And so instead of the balance turning as it should, it turns too far. And so you start getting a thing, it's also called knocking, where it's going back, it's too much power, and you're looking at it, and you'll be looking at the line, you're looking at it, and it's going, and then all of a sudden it'll go, and it'll just turn into it'll zoop up, and then you got all this white noise, and then it comes back down maybe showing way too high amplitude, and then it'll go fuzzy white again, and all the numbers go to 0. But you can hear it. You can hear it knocking. It's pretty loud if you listen to it. It just looks like a mess.
What's the first witch book?
Weird Sisters?
That's what I was thinking, because I think I'm going to read them again.
Oh, no, it's not sorcery. The first one with the witches is...
I think it's Weird Sisters.
Well, that's the one with all of them, but the first one you see them in is
No, I don't...
Equal Rights.
Which one?
But the first witches, like all the witches,
that's what I wanted.
Weird Sisters.
Okay, then I'll read that again. Tom N. That's a cool watch, a bit sporty but dressy too. I like the fluted Reissue ring. I've not thought much about Bell-matics, not having much need for an alarm or a dress watch. This video gives me second thoughts. Could you add a breakout on how the Bell-matic alarm works in a Friday mail call? Thanks. Would you want to do that? You said they're so annoying to work with.
No, I heard the question and I sat here and I was like, how would I show how the alarm works? I don't think I really can without ripping one apart. The way that it works basically is you have that fluted Reissue, that ring, that's the alarm ring. It has one point on it, and that point can be rotated to indicate any place in 12 hours. So what you do is you make sure, one, that the alarm is fully wound up by the crown, and then you go and you pull the crown out one click, and you turn, and that ring will turn counterclockwise to whatever time you want to wake up, or whatever. 8 o'clock, let's say 8 a.m., that's fine. You push the crown back in, and it's at the current time, and you pull out, you go click on the alarm button, you pull it out one click, it's armed. And then when the hour hand gets all the way around to that thing, roughly more or less, it then, it through one of the billion springs in that thing, it trips the mechanism which allows the alarm mainspring to run to a big star wheel. The star wheel turns, and the big teeth of the star wheel flap this lever back and forth, and really, really quickly, and that hits the alarm spring, and that's how it works. It's a very simple design. People sometimes say, "Oh, they're so quiet." They'll wake you up. I've done it. What you doing? Oh, you got Weird Sisters.
I don't know what you're talking about. I realized I didn't know what you were talking about, so I was going to read a book, but never
You
mind.
still can read a book. That's a great book.
I know, I've read it. Chi-Town, California. I don't think these 6R calibers are good enough to be in watches costing well over $1,000. I reckon equivalently priced watches with Sellita, SW200s, and ETA 2824 movements would be more consistent runners out of the box.
And they are. And it's maddening. It's maddening. The technology is good. The 6R movements are good. The 4R movements are good. But they come, it's like anything else. The 90% of the quality of a job painting, for instance, like painting a wall, is the vast majority of your success is in your preparation. And so sending these watches out, they've got all this other stuff where it looks right and the movement has good tech. Yeah, I saw that flicker too.
I bet someone's out the door.
Why?
I bet Seabass is flicking the light.
What? Why would he do that?
Because the light flickered. So he's outside with the light switches.
Out there?
I think so.
Any case, the problem is that Seiko is shooting themselves in the foot by sending out these watches unadjusted with beat error, and and then they ask all this money. If every single 6R came out of the factory competently, either put together, not necessarily adjusted because that's labor, but a 2824 from a parts house will run with flat accuracy right out of the box. Whereas I have gotten 6Rs and 4Rs replacement movements directly from the part houses, and they arrive out of adjustment with beat error. I just sometimes I think Seiko just doesn't care. I think somebody ran the numbers and they said, well, we can save X amount of money by not doing this extra step. There's something they're choosing not to do to make a little bit of money. Seiko has done this for a very long time. Is they'll cut a little corner here, cut a little corner there, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I have to say, and this pains me to say as a Seiko person, I have. If you put a brand new Swiss ETA powered watch in front of me and a brand new Seiko in front of me, I would be so confident in the Swiss watch being exactly as it should be right out of the box, it would never even occur to me to wonder about it. It would just be, I know that it would be fine. It would be great. Whereas I look at the Seiko and I'm like, because I've seen problems in Seikos all the way up to 8L movements, limited edition, pieces costing $5,000 and $6,000, and I've put them on the time grapher fresh out of the box, and they're out of adjustment and they have beat error. It's like, this is the $7,000 watch. You get a brand new $3,000 Omega. It puts out a line like the path of a bullet. It's just perfect. And Seiko, they don't do that. They don't choose to make that a priority, and I don't know why. I don't know. Because there's a proliferation of people buying time graphers now. Time graphers are affordable. And so people aren't flying blind, and the numbers don't lie. And so you send out these watches, and you got to make sure that the numbers are good, because people don't have to just trust anyone anymore. They can look at the numbers themselves. And I don't know what Seiko's thinking. It legitimately makes me sad as well as frustrated. But, what can we do? All we can do is what we can do. And so we do it. I don't know what else to say. That's really about it. So this has been, challenging. Anytime I get a new Seiko in, I'm like, okay, where are we going to go with this? And, we see that things haven't changed in all these years. But that said, the 6R and the 4R, and Seiko's tech is awesome. It's the execution. They're sort of falling down at the last hurdle, but sometimes. I don't know. We'll see. That's about it. That really is the end of the thing. Are you going to write a book report?
Absolutely.
It's good stuff. Yeah. Okay. Well, the weekend is here. I'm going to make a frame for Senor Oop, and I'm going to, we'll get that upstairs, and that's really about it. Did you have anything else to add?
Nope.
Okay. Folks, bye.
Bye.